All right, this is Jeff at the Big Hairy Dog again. Let's share a screen so everybody can see what's going on, right? If you have questions, there's a chat. If you want to turn the microphone on, I don't have a problem with that. I can turn it on maybe if it's muted. But either way, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask, right? Okay. We are here today to talk about point of sale. And I have a rough outline that I sort of modified real quick. So let me just bring that up a little bit so we can all see it, possibly. So basically, point of sale and XZ Out, right? That's what our meeting's about today. And I'm flexible. If we have questions, bring them up, and we'll bring it in, right? All right. So I'm going to bring this out of the way for a minute, and we will. There's where I'm logged in. It's the main menu. And the first thing on our checklist is regular versus touch. And so I have configured a basic touch menu. So on the left, you got regular, right? So the new transaction brings us into regular transaction, right? So this is our regular point of sale screen. Very good, by the way. We can modify it. We can change colors. There's things we can do, but this isn't about that today. That's not what the webinar is about. So here we would scan items over here, and we'd have our subtotals and things over there. Very nice. Let's go back out to the main menu, and let's go take a look at the touch menu. So the touch menu is configurable, and the left side of the screen is devoted to touch. I just set up a couple of buttons. Now, pros and cons. The pro obviously is touchscreen. So if you have a lot of touchscreen items, this is brilliant, right? Now, I have a rule of thumb. If you're going to do a touchscreen, you really got to limit the number of clicks to drill down. So like you could have a t-shirt or a stickers folder, and you could click in there. You could have another sub menu if you want, but by the third click, you better be selling an item, right? 3 clicks is my rule of thumb limit, right? For getting to sell an item, right? So there's my t-shirt finally popped up. I think this VM is running a bit slow, but got there, right? So, and this can be very powerful. So you drill down, you click main menu, you drill down, you click main menu, you drill down and sell something else, right? So if you had charms or if you had any kind of items that can't be tagged, right? Like in events like stadiums where they have the foam hands, we're number one. You can't tag those. They're 95% air. So, you can't put a sticker on them. You can't punch a hole in them. You can't tag them, right? So there are a lot of items out there that can't be tagged, or we don't want to tag. Nobody wants to tag 4-color pens, so depending on your need, the touch menu is very nice. Now, what do we lose? What's the con? The pro is the touch menu. What's the con? The only con that I can see, is not much. Well, I guess there's 2 things. One, you have less space for the items, and your subtotal is really poor at best, right? You got that, you got the tax, you got the total, which is all you need, really, right? At the end of the day. The other thing is you don't have the return button. That doesn't mean you can't return things. You just have to do it by the item, right? So you've got to go to the item, and you've got to go to type, and you've got to make the return here, right? Which is maybe not quite as intuitive as the other mode, but it's fine. I mean, if you don't make a lot of returns, then it's going to be totally fine, right? So I don't see that as being bad. If you have a lot of touch items, this is very nice. These are configured at the biggest size we can configure a button, and usually the main menu button, the menu I call main menu. Wow. I usually set the buttons up to be pretty big, and then if I drill down and have a secondary menu, then I sometimes have littler buttons. Depends on what you're doing. You might be mixing items and buttons, and then if you can go big on the items, then you can put a picture on them. Great, do. If not, you can make littler buttons. Real quick here, help about, just so that everybody knows. I'm on PRISM 2.5.0, so I'm on a very fresh build of PRISM. 2.5.1 is due out pretty quickly here, and they're going to upgrade Oracle to 19C in that one. But But this is very fresh. This has a lot of really spectacular features, and they're going down a really great path. I'm gonna have to say that I do like a lot how they're headed. They're actually gonna write their own browser app. They're going to get out of Chrome and Edge and all that over the next several months. They're going to have a app you can download in the Google Store and in the Windows and Android and iOS stores, so that they can control more of what's going on with the resetting the memory and the field widths and all the other things that they've been struggling with. So I'm very excited about how they're going and what the direction is on it, and I'm very excited about this version here. It's very good. So, all right. Any questions? Let me see here real quick. We've got somebody typing. Tammy's typing. All right. If you got a question, feel free to go. Can you still scan products when you're in the touch menu? Yeah, totally. Yeah. So like if you had it's even in a touch menu, I'm gonna guess it's 85-90% scanning, right? So if you were here and you put an item in, and I think it's 908. I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, it's anyway. It's right there on the screen. Gee. All right. So if I press enter, a scanner basically decodes the barcode, inputs it, and then presses enter. That's what it does, right? And apparently my consolidate function is turned off because PRISM by default will consolidate to one line and just put a quantity 2 on there. I turn it off. I turn things on and off for people all day long, right? As I test different things for different folks. But generally, I'm a big fan of consolidation. Love consolidation. But yes, absolutely, you can scan in the touchscreen, and I'm going to guess that you'd be scanning more than you'd be touching. I mean, I set up one client who did little charms, like little tiny charms on a bracelet thing, and it was like a little tiny shop, and all their inventory was charms. So they did all touch menu. That's the only exception I could think of where you did. Everybody else is like 20-80, touch 20-80% scanning, more than likely. Yes, good question, by the way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so scanning, but this applies to both, right? So we could absolutely scan. We can just go beep, and it'll just ring an item up. Wildcard, the next thing that I would want to bring into the conversation would be the wildcard, and then a formal search. Then let's talk about what you can do once you have an item on there, right? So a wildcard would be using a wildcard, which in this case is an asterisk. So an asterisk, if I said, show me everything that ends in the word T, I would say it by saying wildcard T. Now, if I don't put a wildcard at the end, it finds everything that ends in the word T, which actually would be a rather dumb search because more than likely you're gonna get more than 100 matches and you're gonna exceed what it can display, right? So you'd be smarter looking for something a little bit better, right? So, now if I said, well, let's see here. Well, all right, to go crazy here, if I just say wildcard A, which is going to be a lot of items, then a wildcard that finds everything with the word A. Okay, so if I said side zip, if I wanted to find side zip, cancel that. I could say asterisk side zip, right? Asterisk. I don't care if it starts with or ends in, but it's got to have side zip in that form in the phrase somewhere. And even that gets me more than 100. So, all right, fair enough. I'm just blowing up left and right here. So you can do a search if you know what you're doing. If you know the product pretty well, wildcard search is extremely powerful. You should be able to find your item, and it's limited to 100. So if you're not searching well and you get more than 100, you're not searching well enough. You need to go back and search better, right? If you're searching well, though, and you find the item you're looking for, then you just select it and say select item, and boom, you just sold an item, right? And Tammy, I have another question. Let me see.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me?
Yeah.
My question is, but on that first point, can you toggle between regular and touch, or is it in the settings that?
No, I mean you can't. You can back out and go to touch, and you can back out and go to. They're both off the main menu, and yes, you could use both. It doesn't care how the transactions are created. And I will say that I have clients that use both.
Okay.
but mostly it's like I have a client who's got a gift shop, 2 gift shops, but one of the gift shops has a little coffee shop in the corner. The coffee shop uses exclusive touch. The gift shop side uses all the regular because they're scanning everything out in the gift shop, but they're not scanning anything in the coffee shop for obvious
Right.
reasons,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
you can also, some of the more advanced functionality, like making an order, for instance. I don't think you can make a special order on a touch menu.
Okay.
I don't think it exists there.
Well, I'm just concerned. I have a lot of unticketable items in my business, so I will follow up on that with you later. Thanks.
Well, I mean, if you have a lot of untickable items, the touch menu would work great for selling stuff.
Yeah.
And you could always hop back over to this screen if you wanted to make a special order of some kind, right?
Can you show me how that works to switch between the toggling between touch
Yeah.
and regular?
I mean, it's as simple as I'm just going to abort the sale. I'm just going to go back to the main menu and abort the sale and go to touch. Boom, I'm on touch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then back at the bottom, we'd go back to the main menu and go back to a new transaction over there, right? I mean, it's 3 clicks of the mouse, but it's not painful.
Can you do that on one transaction though? Can you toggle?
No.
In? Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. I mean, what you'd have to do is you'd have to park the transaction. You'd have to hold it. And then resume it on the other screen. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's not smooth. You got to get hold. You got to go over. You got to go into the hold menu and say, go back to this transaction on that menu. But it'd take you a few clicks, but it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Okay.
All right. So obviously, from either menu, if you ever click the magnifying glass, then you're going and basically doing what I would call a formal search, right? So you're dropped into inventory. You now have the full display of fields that you've set up when you designed your screens, because these menus are completely designable, right? So you can go in and find anything you want, we'll just keep going with the same thing, right? And I don't need wildcards here, right? I can just say what I want to see and say, go find it. And if I get, more than 100, then I have more than one page, right? I could take any item, and if I want, I could collapse this if I need help to see the screen. I don't have to leave the filter there once I've got it executed. Over here is the document quantity, right? So I could say, oh, yeah, I found one. I want one of those. And I could then go do another search if I wanted to. Whatever. Just put 2 letters together and see what we find, all right? And we could find another item and we say, yeah, we want one of those. And then if we found everything we want, we could click close. It brings everything back to the receipt. Doesn't matter if you're on touch, doesn't matter if you're on the regular one. That functionality, as is the wildcard functionality, is either side of the fence, right? Okay, so, if we have an item on there, what can we do with it? Well, changing quantities and discounts are the most common. Now, the details button is kind of where they started that whole process, right? And we'll come back to that. But you can see the discounts and the quantities right here, right? But honestly, if you're going to change quantity, just click quantity. Now, the trick here is when you click quantity, go click, change the quantity. Do not, under any circumstances, click swipe and type 8, enter, because that doesn't work. Don't know why. I've logged it. If you swipe, you're done. It's click, and then it works like a champ. Change anything you want. Same with discounts. If you swipe here, you're done. If you click and type in there, it's going to work every time. That's one of the reasons they're changing out of the Chrome, Edge, Safari environment and getting into their own environment, right? So they can control all that kind of piddly stuff. So really, I mean, from the main menu here, you can change your type. You can make this a return, and we'll talk about the other form of return, which is up on the top here in a bit. But you can make this an order. You could do a send sale. Send sale's got to be configured. Very technical thing in configuration, by the way. Once set up, though, you could sell it at one store and have another store send it to the customer, right? And the store that made the sale would get credit for it, and the inventory would be decremented from the other store, right? It's actually pretty slick. Very cool. But like again, on your VPN, you have to go in and configure and put all your IP addresses for all the stores that'll be contributing to this send sale thing. So once configured, it's very powerful. But it's a tricky one to set up. I'm not going to lie. All right, so you can change the type of the item. You can give it a discount. You can remove the discount. You can go to details here. You can see every discount on this item, and you can remove the discount if you want to, right? Very nice, by the way. You could void the item. You could remove the item, and you could change the quantity. Now, generally, I password out removing. I don't remove items. If you remove items, you can steal. If you avoid items, it's really hard to steal because I can see everything you do. If you remove it, it's gone. I can't see it in a report. And if somebody didn't ask for a receipt, like if you rang up the items and you went to tender and you can count back change, you counted back their change, they didn't ask for the receipt, they just took their items in their bag and they left. I could just void the tenders and I could remove the items and I could ring the next customer up on this receipt. So I don't remove items and I usually password it out for everybody. But voiding items, yeah, just click void. So we just voided an item, right? There's an item that says it's been voided right there, right? And if we go to tender now, don't even know if my preference is turned on. We'll find out here, right? And we say cash, and we just say take, and we say we want to print update sometime in our lifetime, preferably. Yeah, the VM's running really slow today. Nice. So we'll say preview, see what it does here. All right, so right now it's showing both items. It's showing the voided item, right? And that's because this is a little VM, a little virtual machine that's not even real. Let's pop out here though. Let's go here and go here and go here. I could try to speed this up, cut to the chase, right? Nobody wants to see all this. And right, so right down here, see this line right there? If I was setting up a real customer, that would have been unchecked. But this is not a real environment. This is a test environment, so that was still checked off by default, right? So normally when you void an item and you have this switch unchecked, the customer's never going to know you voided an item, right? It's not going to be there. So if we take this last transaction I did right there, right? And we say, I could view it in either one. We'll view it in the other one, whichever, right? And say print, and we say preview. There you go, right? So now the voided item has been removed. It's gone. So again, I would never remove items. I would only void them. And then the customer would never see them anyway. And if we need to report on them, we can. Well, let's stay at 100. All right. Okay, so yeah, all right, so over here on this side, the same menu exists, right? The same discount, same type, remove, void, quantity, and details. We can go to details. And in details, you see there's a bunch of stuff in here. And I probably should go to details, not on the voided item. Not going to be able to do much on the voided item, right? All right, so and actually this is a former transaction, so we can't do anything anyway, right? Okay, so here you could change the quantity if we were on a new transaction. I guess I should just hit copy here, right? Okay, there we go. And if we're on a new transaction and it's not voided and we go to details, see, we can change the quantity here, right? I mean, we're not going to change the price level. Nobody's using sublocations, right? Taxes, nobody changes taxes at the item level. Rare, sometimes cases in Canada and some installations, we change tax by the item, but mostly we do it by transaction. Here's your discount. Well, why would you come here when you could do it over the other one, right? You have the same three options: amount, percent, and price on the which is right there on the item, right? Shipping, you could do shipping by item. Nobody does shipping by item. Associate, you guys know what an associate is, right? That's a sales rep. So the cashier is the cash handler, person taking the money, and the salesperson is the one, or associate is the salesperson who gets credit for the sale. And yes, you could change who gets credit for the sale on a per item basis. And you could split it between more than one person if you wanted to. Item notes, yeah, you got, I think it's up to 300 something now. Like there's 10, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 200 and is that 200? I don't know what that is. Is that 15? I don't know. Yeah, it easily goes in there though, right? And it used to be 250, but I think they bumped it up. Now that's too many. I'm sure that's too many. So let's see what it does when yeah, it says all those things are beyond what the string can handle, right? Yeah, so that's all it can handle right there. So I guess. All right, so oh yeah, real quick here. The other thing that's actually kind of cool that you could use in details, right, is the last tab. And that's the on-hand quantity. So if you have multiple stores and you want to check the on-hand, okay, you don't have any more, but who else does have it? Yeah, just go to details. That's actually the only menu that's extremely useful, right? If you're going to go to details, you're probably going to the last tab. I don't know why else you'd be in there. I mean, everything else you can do here, right? If I want to take a discount, I could just go to discount and take a discount, right? So, all right. Anyway, that beats that up pretty well. How about transaction details, right? So what do we do in transaction details? In transaction details, we got another similar menu, right? So we can make a comment. We could use one of our POS flags. Most people don't use POS flags and go deeper into it if somebody really wants to know. Can you, oh, good question. So a question out there that I missed, can you void transaction after it's processed? Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think we're supposed to have that. The question is, do we have it yet? And I don't know the answer to that question. Let's go look. That was supposed to be a feature of view transaction options. I'm gonna have to follow up on that. So right now, no, it doesn't look like they've put that in the menu, but that's supposed to be being added. And it may not have made it to 250. It may have made it to 251, but that's coming. The ability to avoid a point of sale transaction is coming. Now, the reason it's been taking so long to get there is the whole PCI environment thing that's going on. You have to be able to give the money back if you're voiding a transaction that was on a credit card, right? And so they have to set it up right if they're going to be able to avoid transactions, right? So if you're integrated, then it's got to be able to return the money, and you can't recharge it. So you got to be really careful there. You know what I mean? It's almost better to exchange. So I'm going to say not yet. You can void every other transaction, and they're supposed to be bringing voids or what they call reverse into point of sale here. And I thought it was this version, but it may be another version but it's supposed to be in this 2.5 series that we get that back. Excellent question, by the way. Thank you. All right, so back to transaction details. Fees is the catch-all, right? If you're doing something, oh yeah, we got to start a new transaction. That's why everything's grayed out. If you're off, if you need to charge somebody something, if you need to give somebody something, like I could say mine is $25 here, right? And pick a fee type, and I could go put my fee types in. If I owe them $25 because I overcharged them on a credit card, I could give it back, right? The other one there is for people making payments on account. If somebody drops a check off for $500 on their account, then we would just say it's a payment on account, and okay, and we'd have to have their name on the transaction as well, right? So I mean. So fee is kind of a weird catch-all area. Shipping, yeah, if you want to charge them shipping, right? And you have different shipping methods, and you can define those. Again, this is the default associate. So here, if you wanted to, you could set a default associate, and for the entire transaction, all the items you scan on, they would get the default associate, right? Price levels kind of dead. Price levels are very powerful, very cool, but honestly, with promotions and promotional rules today, the work that's involved in maintaining a price level, to have an employee price level or something, when you could just write a rule, it doesn't seem viable anymore. The PRISM, the promotional rules, we'll look at those in a sec here, but it's on the list. But price level is just, it's sort of old school resale. It still has its uses, but they're less. Transaction discount, again, this is a weird one. You know, if we have on this item here, if I put a discount of 10% on this item, right? And then I go to the transaction level and I go to discounts and I go to percent and I put 10% on it. Is 10 and 10 20? It's not, by the way. If you take $100 and discount $10, 10%, you're at $90. Discount $90, 10%, you're at $9 more coming off 90. So 10 and 10 is 19. When you're accumulating a discount, it's very complicated and painful, right? So just be aware that that's a wacky one. That's why we pretty much stopped using the transaction level discounts. It's not, it's mentally challenging and it's not useful. Loyalty, we have loyalty and loyalty can be used. People can accrue points and they can spend them. Native to this version, right? Just turn it on. Your taxes, this is typically how we would exempt, right? If we were going to exempt taxes, this is where we would do it. We would go and find, we would have a tax area in here like for resale, and we would just change the tax area and it would take the tax off, and that we do that for reporting purposes, right? We want to be able to take care of the customer and then at the end of the month recap what happened, right? So at this store, this profit center for accounting, we had X amount of sales in the local tax area and X amount of sales in the exempted. So how much volume did the state not get, and why, right? Because they were wholesale or resale, or they have a tax ID, or they're nonprofit or whatever, right? And we have a notes section, again, same kind of thing. We just went over that at the item level. This is the transaction level, but same thing, right? All right, so then next on the hit parade of exciting things, which is actually pretty cool, is promotions. And notice that somebody wrote in here to my thing, this is not a webinar on promotions. Yeah, I get it. Okay, but still, promotions are extremely powerful. I mean, extremely powerful. Let's get out of here. Let's go back to point of sale here. That touchscreen, the only issue I have, the right-hand side, I designed that screen, and I designed this one too, right? I didn't really design it. I took what one of the Retail Pro programmers did and tweaked it a bit, right? So this one here, let's go back to discounts. Let's remove the discount. Details, highlight, remove. Can we even remove it? No, I guess we can't, right? Wow, weird. All right. And usually this is just the 2 lines. I designed this one to be 2 lines. Of course, when you discount it, this design here inserts the 3rd line, right? And I made 5 columns and it works pretty good. I like this. It's pretty efficient. Now, if we look back at this item discount details, I didn't pick this. And notice that the source here is promotion. So there's a promotional rule that's written on this item. And when I ring it up, it just immediately applies the discount on the fly, right? Which is pretty damn cool, I'm not gonna lie. There are many types of promotions. Let me see if I could, let's see if we find another item out here, search, just pick an item. Okay, that one did not get a discount, right? Which is good. So if we take this one here, copy that, and let's go set up a weird promotion real quick, just as an example, right? So I'm going to go to promotions. I've got a bunch of these undoubtedly. No, I only got one. Interesting. All right. So new. Here's a nice trick that I like. Okay. I'm just going to name this way so we don't have to worry about what the name is. You only get 6 for that. And I'm just going to go customer item. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So on the right-hand side, real quick, I'm not limiting this to stores. I could limit to stores. I'm not limiting it by date. I could have a start and end date. I don't care about price levels. I don't think it's going to apply. If you get a manual discount, that's all you get. I, as a human being, can change the price. If I choose to change it, hey, I'm the human being, right? That's the computer. And it's unlimited. If you can buy as many as you want, you can get your discount. The validation in this case is going to be the item that I just copied, right? So I'm going to have to say that it's on this item, right? So the ALU has got to contain that phrase, right? Now, a validation could be done lots of ways. For instance, I could, as an example, use any one of these fields. These are the miscellaneous fields. Somebody's been hacking around with those, or a node field or whatever. I'm going to add this. I could say does not contain markdown, right? I could say this applies to everything in this department, but if it's marked as a markdown, then no, you don't get it. You already got a thing going on. And Carolyn, I apologize, didn't see you raising your hand. Do you have a question?
Yes, but it goes back to discount, so maybe we can
go back,
yeah.
ask.
Oh, ask it? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
go.
I was wondering, and when you were going into the discounts there, all of a sudden I thought about, you said that's sort of a, I don't know, complicated way to do discounts. Maybe that's what you meant, but I wanted to know if there's a way to discount an entire sale at, whatever. I'm going to give you 30% off of all the stuff that we rang up. Right
Yeah.
now, we have to go in and do it individually.
No, you could totally do it wholesale. Yeah,
What's that?
you could totally do it wholesale right here.
Oh, good. Yeah, okay. I don't know how to do that.
If I did not have this restriction in, this would be, I would open the floodgates. It would apply to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, all right, let's.
Well, I mean, when you're ringing somebody up and everything happens to be at 30% off.
Okay, so let's go like this. Let's remove
Right
this.
now. Okay.
Let's go like this. Let's go down here now. Now we wanted you're kind of feeding right into where we are, by the way.
Oh,
Thank you for
good.
that. So let's say we want the ability to apply the 30% off ourselves, as opposed to having it be automatic, which we could leave it and let it be automatic. But I kind of wanted to show this rule anyway. So let's try this, right? So we're going to go down here to coupon. I'm going to say add a coupon. And for now, I'm just going to say 30%, right? 30% off sale, right? We'll do whatever we want to do here. Hopefully we'll get our syntax correctly here, right? And then I'm going to say save, and I'm going to check this new secret little button off that's really cool, by the way. And we'll get to that in a second. All right, so let's go over to reward rules and say, yes, in fact, it is a discount percent of 30, right? And we're going to click save and say yes. And we're going to go try it. Okay, so now I want to make sure that this item here I know has no promotion, right? So I want to establish that item there gets on there and there is no discount right now. Since we're here, let's go ahead and sweeten the pot a bit, right? So let's just go out and grab some items, right? I think all these here are not going to have discounts, right? There's the one I already got, the next one. So we'll just stop there and go, okay. So nothing has a discount, correct? Because they would have a third line. They would all have a discount line if they had a discount, right? So if I go to coupon now, that little button that I checked off does that. It creates a drop-down menu where you could just say, oh, yeah, I want to apply that to everything.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. But you have to have that set up in the system then.
Yes. Now, if I didn't put if I go and uncheck that coupon thing, that 30% would have been instantaneous. As fast as I added the items, they would have been discounted. So we can write a rule out there, and let's go back and revisit that, because that's the whole point, is that this promotional module is amazingly powerful. And I know we're not doing a webinar on promotions, but that being said, this is an amazing tool here. So if we go to edit here, we go back to validation, right? We go to item filter. Oh yeah, so we got any field in inventory basically, right? Departments, descriptions, SKUs, vendors, style information. These are all miscellaneous fields that have been renamed. So whatever, right? All of our note fields, our price, and our on hand. Okay, what about customers? Yeah, we got customers down here, right? So if I check off customers and go open up, I can filter this by anything. So I could say, oh yeah, if these guys say VIP in info 1, then they get an automatic discount, right? So very powerful filtering and functionality here in this thing. And now while we're at it, let's just peek at this because we can't go any deeper. But item, right, is the kind. Custom and item are almost exactly the same, by the way. There's very little difference. They're both item level discounts, which is probably the most common, honestly. Quantity, tiered, and rolling are all quantity discounts. Now, the difference in those, real quick, is that if I said they're $5 each, or they're when you get to 3, you get them for $4 each. On the quantity setting, when I hit 3, they would be $4 each, but the fourth one would be $5. You follow? Tiered, the fourth one would get discounted. Once you hit the tier, it would be good for all of them, right? Rolling, the first 2 would be $5, but the third one, having hit the threshold, would be $4, and the fourth one would be $4. And if we had a secondary level, like at 6, the 6th one would go down again, but the first 2 would be full price. The next 2 would be at their level, and the third ones would be at their level. You follow? Kind of complicated, honestly. Three quantity discount things. Pack pricing, 3 for $10. It'll ring up 1 for $3.34 and 2 for $3.33, right? It knows how to break it up and charge the right price to get to the pack price. BOGO, buy one, get one. Buy 4, get 1 free. Buy 1, get 1 half off. Buy a shirt, get a hat for free. I don't know. You know what I mean? A billion different BOGO configurations. Transaction, if you get $1,000 at the subtotal, you get $250 off. If you only get 500, you get $100 off. If you only get 100, you get $10 off. Right? The only trick on that one is you got to evaluate the 1,000 first, because I guarantee that if you spend 1,000, you spend 100, right? So you got to evaluate the 100, then 1,000, then go down to the 500, right? Coupon, it is issuing a coupon, because we can validate any of these by activating a coupon. But in this case here, the coupon type in the menu is where if you spend $500, you get a coupon for 10% off your next time, right? And gift item is, basically if you meet some criteria, you get a free item, and it adds the item to the receipt automatically. Very slick. And on the coupon point, there's a whole coupon menu down here. You can go out here and you could say new, and you could set a range, and you could have it generate a whole bunch of coupons, and you could send those out. A lot of work, by the way, but you could absolutely generate a whole list of coupons that could only be used once. Anyway, that's probably as deep as I can go into promotions for now, right? This is really not a webinar on promotions, but promotions is kind of really part and parcel. And this is weird too. If you guys are all using PRISM and you're playing with it, like, why can't I see my promotions there? Like, and you know that this is part of the whole where Retail Pro is going with the browser, right? Is that sometimes the browser gets confused, right? And there's the secret keystrokes, right? If you log out and do Control-Shift-Delete, it lets you clear your memory, right? And then Control-Shift-R resets it, and then we go back in, and probably should have gone in his other account, but all right, whatever. All right. Excellent question, by the way. And any other questions? All right, so then it returns, right? So let's go set the return thing up, right? So if we're doing, let's see what we got here to play with, right? Search. What's on that? Not much, honestly. So let's go copy. And on the copy, we're going to cheat and get rid of this voided item, because for training purposes, it's kind of really wrong. All right, so this is the item here we're going to return, right? Copy. I do want this to be discounted. Whatever, 30%. We'll go with 30, right? Whatever. We don't care. Okay. I also would like there to be a customer on here. I don't really think it matters what customer, right? Just grab a customer, right? Anytime, sometime in our lifetime. All right, so I'm just going to grab a customer, and probably should give this VM a little bit more. So loyalty setup, it just enrolled them into loyalty. We don't really care. And so let's go take some money, right? So let's go tender and let's credit card. Jeff, I don't have any integration set turned on, so I'll have to say what kind of card and vacate it, right? And there we go. Yeah, no unit device was found. All right, so we will not be doing the credit card because the credit card config is turned on and it's not worth turning off during a webinar, right? And we'll go ahead and print the receipt, I guess. Come on. Yeah, preview. All right, so on receipt number, now everybody knows how to do this, right? I didn't know how to do it. I guess I'm old, right? But holding the control key and using the roller on the mouse, right? You can zoom in and kind of see things better, right? So transaction 31, right? That's what we're caring about. Receipt 31, and at the bottom, that barcode would find receipt 31, right? So I guess I should write it down. Of course, it's a graphic. I can't copy it, right? That'd be way too easy, wouldn't it? All right, so you guys got my back, right? You're going to tell me if I screw this up, right?
I'm going to be sure and tell you.
All right. Well, you can't even see it, man. Oh, I guess we have to do the control and the plus, right? I think we're good though. I think I nailed it, right? All right. So we'll just park that for the moment. I'll just park that on my other screen over here. Okay, so receipt number is 30. Well, we don't care. We got that copied, and I got the other one copied. All right, so we're good. So let's get out of here. Zoom out, hit cancel, cancel. Okay, start a new transaction. We're in a new transaction. So the most common way to return something is to go into return mode and say, I want to search for the receipt. It says, what receipt are you searching for? We scan this barcode at the bottom, right? Put that in there like that, and it goes beep, and it finds the transaction, and then we select it, and then down here we select which item is being returned. And in this case, we could select all or select the item. It wouldn't matter, right? And then return to document. And that feels fairly intuitive, and a lot of people like returning items that way. But that's not the only way to return an item, right? On the other screen, we can't do that. On the touch menu, you don't have that option. Let's cancel this. Let's go like this though. Before I leave this, let's go like that and copy that. So they walk in, they have the item. It's in perfect shape. It's got the tag on it. They got the receipt, and we want to return it. We don't have this return button. So on a new transaction, we would just scan the item, right? Beep. We put the item on there. We would go to the item type, say we want to return this item, and do we want to connect to the receipt? Yes, we do. Of course we do. At which point we would scan the barcode on the receipt, copy, and scan it in there, and hit search. You would find the transaction. We would say, yep, that's the one. Select all. At this point, doesn't matter, right? There's only one item on there, and they would return it again. Now, things to notice about this process. I selected the item for return. I did not discount the item. I scanned it in. It was just sitting there, normal, didn't have a discount, right? And I did not add a customer to this transaction, did I? By returning the item and referencing the receipt, it did all that by itself. So I think, returning is not a right, it's a privilege. If somebody wants to return something, they need to have the original receipt. Or we need to be able to look it up in their history. If they don't want to give us their name, then they don't have history, right? But anytime you wanted to, you could just click over here to the customer's detail thing, right? And you could go to options and go to customer history, right? And you could see all their history, probably no history. That's fair enough. But by the way, customer history updates every 15 minutes. I didn't know that in the beginning. I do know that now. So there is a schedule. I guess you can go and update how often it updates. You can make it update every minute, but I have a hard time justifying that because when I'm looking in customer history, I'm never looking for the last transaction I did. I know what I just did. I'm always looking for last week, last month, last year, right? So I struggle with using the computer resources to update customer history every minute when I'm never going to use that feature, right? So as much as I really hate the fact that it doesn't update real time, I can't find fault with their 15-minute schedule either. Okay. No other questions? Perfect. All right. So I think we beat up returns, right? We can do it from the item back to the transaction, or from the top at the top. We could just scan the transaction and find it. I will point out something odd here. Well, let's go to so Bruce name, right? We don't know what Bruce is, but we know it's this thing here, right? Copy. Put that over in my little notepad here so I can find this. Maybe in 15 minutes, if we're still doing this, we can look at the history, right? Cancel, tender, yeah, take the cash and update without, we don't need to wait for the receipt here, right? All right, so yeah, so tenders and yeah, really did not see that one coming. All right. Oh, it's a return, right? Geez, yeah. All right, fair enough. So split tenders. So if we're ringing up items, yeah, we should talk about that as well. All right, so let's get some items on here. It doesn't really matter what items, right? We just need some items to play with here, right? Got some items. All right, so when I click tender here, it's on credit card, right? But in return mode just a minute ago, it defaulted to cash, right? So in this system preferences, we can default a sale or a return to its default tender, right? Now, the return mode has to be cash because unfortunately people, when they spend cash, they overtender. That's the way it is in the States, right? Nobody does exact change. So every time you take cash, you're going to be giving change back. So your default for give has to be cash. Otherwise the whole cash thing blows up. But certainly for take, it should be credit card, right? Should start on the credit card. And I can show you how to configure that if you want, but we can configure it for you anytime. Now, if we're tendering and we're going to do half credit card and half cash, which one do you do first? Does it matter? Do you have to do cash first? Do you have to do credit card first? And of course, the answer is the one the customer tells you, because we don't do math for anybody anytime, right? Guys, no extend the athme, right? So if they say, hey, I got $100 bill and I want to pay the rest on my credit card, then we would go to cash. We would say $100 bill. We would take it, and it would say, okay, the balance is 1306. How do you want to take that, right? And the same thing's true if we went to credit card and said $100 on the credit card, it would take it, and they would say, hey, the balance is 1306. How do you want to take that, right? We'd say they give me a 20, right? So makes no difference at all. Just pick a type, put the amount into that take line, make sure that's correct, right? And then take it and process the card, and then it'll do the math and we'll go to the next one. Is there a limit to how many splits you can have? No, there isn't. You can go as many as you want. So if somebody comes in with 10 $25 Visa gift cards, yes, you could take all 10. Really annoying, but you could do it. All right, so customers is the next thing on the hit parade of exciting things to go over, right? Yeah, all right. So let's go back. There we go. I don't think it got that back. So here, if I'm adding a new customer, I could just click new customer and I get this sort of quick input screen, right? Now, this particular set of data is configured. See the red line, the red boxes. So the red box means required, right? So you can't just go in here and say, Bob, right? So I can't save that. I got to have a last name, and in this case, I got to have a phone number. I don't usually require phone numbers. Some people like to. You can require any field you want. But then if they don't want to give you their phone number, then you can't save the record, or you got to make something stupid up, right? I mean, if they're willing to give you their email and their address and their phone, you should take it all, right? But if they're not willing to, then I don't know if you should be required to make something up just to save the record. That's up to you guys, right? Now, if we put in you know, a record here, and we put a phone number in, and oh, they added the other version didn't have an image. You can add an image now here in the quick tender thing, which seems a bit odd. I'm not gonna lie. You could have like a camera there at point of sale, right? Could you just step over here and smile for me? Not sure what that's about, but we got our record saved. Now, once they're created, then the details now will work, right? I could hop out here and I could go see anything I wanted about their record, or I could make changes to it, right? So if I wanted to go edit and I wanted to put a special mark in here or in here, right? I like these mark fields. There are only four characters. You can't type any more in there. They're from version 8, and in the version 8, the mark field was used to do some marketing things to find customers that met criteria and mark them. That has no use here in PRISM, but it's still hanging around as part of the database. So they're really nice for something, because I like if I had a tax ID, this is a decent sized field, right? I could put a tax ID in there. I can't put it in the mark field, but I could put a mark in there if I was going to give them a discount or something, right? I could go down here and say that these guys are a VIP or whatever they are, right? I could put whatever mark I wanted, but as long as it's 4 characters or less, right? So I kind of like the mark fields for tying them to the promotions, and putting in there, you know, VIP or EMP, right? Or manager, right? And then you can have your discount automatic and tied to their customer account. And then with that promotional rule, you know, you can go in and put exclusions, right? You can say if it's a marked down item, you don't get another discount. It's already marked down, and we're not making any money, and that's it. All right. All right. Save. Back on the main menu, of course. It's going to be angry at me now for. Oh yeah, it's probably not going to let me because we got tenders, right? Yeah, we got tenders. So all right, we'll just go. Oh yeah, we should probably talk about that too. Forgot that we got that going on in there. Right, so I just redeemed 1306 off of a gift card, right? In what's called a central gift card. So central gift card is an internal gift card set up inside Retail Pro, right? So if we say update only, and then I go down here to options, could I check the balance on that central gift card? Yes, I could, right? I just put the number in here and say, go get my balance for me, right? Right, so 86.94 left on the gift card, right? To sell a gift card, you don't need an item. You don't need a customer. I mean, a customer is recommended, right? But you don't need them. So tender, right? And the central gift card's nice. If you're using the other gift card, it's slightly different. But here, if I were to go to central gift cards, I could say I want to purchase. The red box is screaming, put the gift card in here. Do not put the gift card number in there. That's redeeming, right? So you'd click purchase. It would give you a new one, and we would put the gift card number in here, right? And then say how much, and then say purchase, and it would say okay, and it would add it to the database, right? And we would then say how we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it with cash because I don't want to deal with that whole credit card error again. And then we would say print update. There's no items on here. There's no customer on here, right? It's just a tender exchange, really, essentially, right? Right, there you go. There's the transaction and no items, right? But yeah, they gave me $50 and I gave them $50, right? Boom, boom. And of course, redeeming it's pretty easy. Our central gift cards are replicated to the other store locations. No, they are not, because they don't have to be. It's a central database. All the stores can see it over the VPN real time all the time. Good question, by the way. So centrals, any version of Retail Pro that has central, 9 and PRISM are the only versions that have centrals. The stores, they send a little tiny query. What is it? 25 characters, the gift card number, and how much they want, right? And it hits the central database, and the central either approves it or gives back a reply, hey, there's only this much. Do you want to take that? Right? So it's real time, all the time. So they can all see the balance. If they burn it at one store and try and run to the next store and double dip, too late, man. It's burned, it's burned. The centrals, there's only one place for the centrals to operate out of. Excellent question, by the way, Paul. Yeah, so right, so redeeming one is, and we did one already, I guess, right? So I don't even know if we need to do another one, right? If you're here and you go to tenders and you say, central gift card, boom, and you put the number in, right? I try to keep it simple so I don't hurt myself. And I say take. We put $50 on there, so there's more than enough to pay for that, right? Boom, right? That's update only. I don't have, again, my preferences haven't really been set up because this is a testing environment. I'm always screwing around with it and changing it anyway. I want to touch on one thing that I like a lot briefly, and it has a lot to do with point of sale and speeding up point of sale, right? So, it's not about preferences, but in preferences you have to go to the sweet spot, you have to get in the right place, and this whole node selection thing is kind of awkward. But in here, this one, I like this a lot. Now I've had customers turning this off. Basically, it speeds up point of sale massively, but it takes away your safety net. What does that mean, Jeff? Well, what that means is that if you make a mistake, so for instance, if I go back now and say, I'm selling an item and the customer is counting out cash and I prematurely just tendered out because I can count back change. I'm no fool, right? I'm just going to roll with it, man. So I go to tender and they're counting out the change. So I just go like that and say, yeah, they're going to give me 200, and I could count. I could take 140.04 and say one makes 140.05, and a nickel makes 140.10, and here's the 90 cents, and then I'll count back the rest, right? If you know how to count back change, it's not rocket science, right? So if I take this, normally a minute ago I would have been able to void it, but it's done. It's already past the point of no return. It instantly prints the receipt as soon as the transaction is in balance. So for anybody who's a tourist destination or has super like 30-second transactions a lot and big long lines, that is a great thing to have turned on, because it really speeds up not having to print that receipt, right? Now, my receipt function is set to dialogue, so I didn't have to click print my receipt. And it just popped right to the dialogue, and I could either say print or email, right? So if I choose to have a dialogue menu pop up like this, right, as opposed to having a go right to the printer, which you could do, that's a printing choice, right? So if you have that thing turned on and your printing choices go right to the printer, as soon as you take the last tender, it prints the receipt. It's just done. But you lose your safety net. I can't, if they change their mind and give me a credit card, it'll water under the bridge at this point, right? Can't take it back. So big fan of that though. I think that's important. All right, so I guess customers, let's go back out and see about, there's my little notepad, and has it been 15 minutes? I have no idea, right? I guess I'll roll the dice on that one, right? What am I new? Okay, so I go like here and I say customer ID, and we go like this guy right here, and we say search. We find Bruce with no last name apparently, and then we say okay, and we go to details, and we go to options and customer history and search, and we still got nothing. Nice. All right, fair enough. It hasn't been 15 minutes, has it? I never win on that one. So, I don't know if I could find somebody else that has history. Options, close, no, cancel. Gotta love the spinning little thing. Let's try one of these. Like, I think these are. All right, there you go. All right. So this screen here, normally if I was designing this screen, I'd chuck all this. I would chuck. Well, I wouldn't chuck that. I would chuck this, and then probably the company. I would bring the document number, and that's the receipt number, and I'd probably get the receipt date because you can have that too. Now here, if you select one of these, you can go to the transaction, right? Now, if you go to the transaction, you can't come back here. So if you're fishing around, it's awkward. But if you're really just looking for the transaction and you want to, see what went on, then that's beautiful. Let's click on this here, right? Now, and you're on the transaction, boom, right? So another thing too, I don't know what version you guys are all on, different versions, but in these more recent versions, they have brought back item history, and item history for me is hugely important, right? So if we have any item in inventory, I would hope that one of these we sold, I don't know. And we go to options, item history, we can see every time a transaction was made against that item, right? So I can see adjustment memos here. I can see receipts. Here's a receipt, right? And these are adjustments, right? And if I want to see them, I can click the little eyeball on. I like this better, by the way. I can see it, and then this little box down here is this box that I just pushed to the top, and I've just now pushed to the bottom. If I hit the yellow X, then I'm here. I'm parked on this receipt. I've left my ability to go back. But if I hit the blue arrow box, it takes me back, and I can say, well, it's not the one I was looking for. Oh yeah, that's the one I'm looking for, right? So if you want to see, has this item actually, I bought this last week. No, the last time we sold this was 3 weeks ago. Oh, well, yeah, that's when I bought it. I bought it 3 weeks ago. Okay, what else did you buy it with? Right? So, side note, item history, cool. And it's back. It wasn't in earlier versions of PRISM, but it's definitely in 2.5. And if you guys are at all, if you guys are 2.3 or 2.4, and you're dealing with the license kerfuffle, right? This version has a little thing which I'll add to this webinar just because I think it's super cool. A slight fix for that, right? I gotta say, I put both in here. What? Whiner. Close services. In the services for the licensing, in the properties, you scroll down, there's this thing right here. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with, if you're not on 2.3 or 2.4 or 2.5, you're not familiar with the licensing kerfuffle, right? But the licensing kerfuffle is basically if you are in Retail Pro like this and you close it and you don't log out, you just close the browser, you're going to leave a license burnt. You're going to leave a license in use. Then you have to come in here to the licensing menu and you have to open it up and you have to, sometime in our lifetime, apparently not going to, this has obviously got some real data in it and it's got a bunch of licensing that I may not have licensing for. And it's a little pissed off at me, but it normally just shows you a list of every workstation in use and you can click disconnect, right? And so you're stuck managing this licensing thing. But that little switch takes everybody out every morning because every morning we take the services down, we do a backup and we restart all the services. So when the licensing service restarts, it removes all active licenses. Every day you come in fresh. I think that goes a long way towards making the whole thing more palatable, right? So anyway, that's a nice little note for a little feather in two fives cap, right? Okay. We're having way too much fun here, right? We gotta focus on getting the job done here, right? All right. So disbursements is the next thing on the list. Disbursements are cool. I like disbursements. So not everybody does, but there's 4 kinds of disbursements. One of them you don't need the disbursements menu for. That's open, drawer open, because the drawer open button is right there. Now this is a VM and it doesn't have any hardware. So that's interesting. I guess we still got that history open. Interesting. All right, back to main menu. All right, so if I go to new disbursements, I can do a cash drop, paid out, a paid in, or a drawer open, right? So typically, if you're doing cash drop, excuse me, if you're doing paid out, you would have a reason, like, and then you would say add a tender, and you can say how much you're taking out, and it knows that this is leaving the drawer because you're doing a paid out, right? Right, and you could add a note here. So whatever, paper towels for the break room or whatever, right? And you could say print update, and you could have a copy in there or not. You can print these, by the way. They're not overly attractive, but they're not terrible either, right? Doesn't matter. Preview. Yeah. And then if they come back and they have a receipt and you put the receipt in the drawer and then you put the change in, you would basically do the same thing in reverse. You'd say, okay, they're bringing me change. I'm going to do a paid in. And I'd have the same reason code probably that I would use. If I have a supplies reason code in the paid out, I'd have a supplies reason code in the paid in, right? So I could have it net out, if that makes sense. So that's the paid in, paid out part, right? The cash drop is pretty easy, right? If you go in here and you want to remove money, then you just come in and say it's a cash drop. You only need one reason there, and say how much am I taking out, and you add the amount you're going to take out, right? So if I'm going to take $100 out, obviously I hit that too many times, I think. That's the problem with being impatient, right? Right. So now if we update this transaction, right, we would want 2 copies to print, right? And we would then choose to leave one of these in the cash drawer and one would attach itself to the money and the money would go in the safe, right? Now, well, if it's dropped, it's gone. When you go to close this drawer, that money's not there. Don't bring it back, don't count it, it'll be over. It knows it's gone, right? So paid in, paid out, cash drop and drawer open. Now drawer open, when you click drawer open, it's going to log an automatic. Now it can see that we don't have hardware. It's not going to let me click drawer open, right? Because it clearly can see that the hardware is not installed and that it's not physically possible to open the drawer. All right, so then that brings us down to the ever popular, truly exciting XZ Out, right? And everybody knows the difference between an X and a Z, right? And X is a tool, a Z is a reconciliation open close procedure, right? So I can run an X for any time period I want. I can run an X for a day, I can run an X for a week, I can run an X for a year, right? A Z out, on the other hand, is a process, right? So if I have this drawer open, I click on Z outs, I can see this Z out here that I opened 625, right? And I can close that drawer. The beauty of the structured Z out is I'm closing the drawer. There is no filter criteria for me to screw up. I can't filter for my name as a cashier, that workstation. I'm closing the drawer that was opened exactly how it was opened. No other options, right? And that's what makes this a beautiful thing right here. So if we click close, it's going to say, okay, can you count the money? And apparently we've got a really weird count going on there in our tenders denominations. Okay, I'm just going to say, you can do this. You could type in how much over here, or realistically, you could go through these and put the amounts in for all your things. But since we only got coin in there, and I didn't realize that my currency denomination menu was so screwed up, I'm just going to go say whatever, 350 bucks. There's no way we're going to balance, right? So we're going to go next. And it doesn't seem to see any non-currencies either. Normally in the non-currencies here, we would see a list like that. Okay, very slow today. And we could click on each one and it would have a number at the top. Now, most of the non-currencies today, except for checks possibly, are not counted. Like, so this one here, this was probably set up on an earlier version. So this is making us check these off. But there's a setting in the tender config now that I could go in and I could just say auto reconcile these, right? Make sure just auto match them, check them off for me, so I don't have to go check them off. And that would be turned on for all your credit cards, because credit cards now it's all chip based. There's no draft in the drawer. There's nothing to count, right? And it's virtually impossible to make a mistake on a credit card too now. So, you know, they would be pre-matched, auto-matched, and they would come up with all the check marks on them, and you just check the ones you have to check, and then you go on and say close and say yes. Now it comes up and says, the message says, hey, you can't undo this. Yeah, we're $414 short, but it said, hey, you're going to the reconciliation, you can't undo this. You can. Right now, I don't have blind count turned on, so I could click recount here. And I could go back and say, okay, so I got 774, and go next and go close, and I could go clean it up. Now I'm over by whatever, some small amount, right? My math was a little rough there. I'm over by like 9 something, right? Really hard to see. Green on black. Whose choice was that, right? All right, so yeah, all right, then finalize and print, right? If you're doing an X out, you want an X out design. Now, this would all be defaulted. I wouldn't be picking these in real life if I was configured correctly. It would have just popped up and let me preview it, right? And this is the same if you're new and you're coming from a previous version. This is going to look really familiar. You got your filter criteria, which is really hard to screw that up on a structured open close. Really hard to screw the filter up. If you're in version 8, it's super easy to screw the filter up. This version, not so much. You got your sales recap. That's a pat on the back. Good job. Then you've got your cash flow, right? So you don't balance to sales. You balance to cash flow, right? So the cash flow is the number we're always looking for in the case of balancing the drawer, right? Receipt counts, and well, so we only have receipt counts here apparently, but typically we would have there's a discount breakdown and a fee type breakdown and a receipt count. Now, I guess we didn't take any discounts in this period. We took a bunch of discounts. I don't think we ever finished the transactions though, right? So we don't have any discounts to show, and we don't have any fees we took. So we only get the receipt count. That's all we got. The tender is beautiful as always, but this is the same as 9. If you're on version 9, this will look very familiar. It does it says paid in gross, paid out gross. The beginning balance, what we dropped comes off. We got a little paid out for $20. So the net should have been this right here. We counted this right here. So we're over by that amount right there, right? So we pull the 934, we have the setup for tomorrow, right? No, excuse me, if we pull the leave, so we pulled this 624. Yeah, it's been a long day. I'm clearly getting confused. So we're over this much, but we still, this is the amount of the deposit. This is the amount we're pulling. Anyway, it breaks down we only use gift cards apparently. We didn't use credit cards. Fair enough. So it and then it lists those out at the bottom. We could turn that off. We turned off credit cards probably, but we didn't use any credit cards. All right, so then we click cancel. I don't really want to print that. Zoom back out a bit. Let's go back around to make a sale. And of course, we're not going to be able to make a sale, right? With structured Z out turned on, it's, you got to go count your money before you can, go make a sale. So we'd have to go back here and reopen the drawer, right? Let's take a quick peek since we're between drawers. We'll take a quick peek at currency. Yeah, we're not going to go do all those. That's what I thought, though. Let's see, it's some of this data config, they aren't active, right? So that's enough for now, right? We're not going to waste our time and your time on that. But if I was going to go open my drawer right now, I could say Z out, open drawer, and then it added the 2 down here, right? So if I wanted to say I got 150, I'm going to cheat, of course, and say I got one of those, and nice, and one of those, right? And then just click next, and that opens the drawer. So typically, we would get our bag of cash, we would take it down to the drawer, we would count it in on that screen and double check that nobody made a mistake and loaded $30 more or less than we're supposed to have in the day. 2 sets of eyes on every count, right? Somebody loads the bag, somebody else counts it in the drawer. We know it's accurate then, right? Okay, so then the door's opened again. I could make a sale. If I go to Z out here, I can set a date range. So I could say, whatever, let's go back to, I don't know. Let's go back a ways. So we did that and close and all. Well, I found the other one I have out there. It looks like no, open. No, we want all. There we go. Right. So every ZL you do, they're all out there forever, right? So if they screw around with the closing report, they're just documenting it for you to find later and really kick their butt, right? All right, so all right, so the other thing to peek at here would be the X out, right? And the X out is literally just a tool, right? It's just a tool that management would use if they were for any reason want to go back and take a look at something, right? You can save a default down here if you have a common way you want to go run this, right? But yeah, you can go out and run it for any time period. I don't know what I screwed up in the filter. We're not getting much there, are we? Yeah, all right. Let's go here. That's probably what I screwed up.
You're in 2023.
Yeah, I've got really old data in here. That's
Oh.
why. I was trying to find some real data that would actually show us some results, you know what I mean? But because I got nothing recently, you know, there's just nothing in there at all. So I was hoping to find something that was, this is probably it all here. Let's go like that, print. Yeah, 2023 is, nobody gives me real data that's current, right? But yeah, I see, I can actually see real data out there if I wanted to, if I have enough, if I can figure out how to use a damn filter, right? But you know, Z out, X out is more likely. Like I need to make a correction for 2 days ago, and I made the correction. Now I want to see if the numbers tie, right? I just run an X. Yeah, we're going to turn into a pumpkin shortly here, aren't we? This, by the way, this is Crunch 14. I don't know what's in here. Oh yeah, gift cards all, right? So some simple queries I made. It's pissed off because I didn't log in fresh today. Yeah, we got it. So if you have a liability, if you have gift cards out there, right, then you're going to need to be able to go and run a report on them, right? See what the balance of every gift card and the total at the bottom, right? Um, so I made a quick query. This is actually months ago, and then I added a where clause to limit it to only things with a balance in the second version, so that it would shorten the list to just the things that are in play, and then the total at the bottom, which I don't seem to have turned on here, but would give me the number. So at the end of any fiscal period, the accountant's going to want to know what the liability is in the central gift card accounts, right? Pretty easy to do. It's not a Crunch webinar, but the newer Crunch 14 is pretty slick. It seems to work better. It's getting there. It's been painful, but it's starting to shape up and look pretty good. They have this new thing that right here. If you set up favorites, I don't know why they spelled it that way, but um, if you go to this thing and you check it off as a favorite, then it'll go to the favorites menu and you'll have your 6 reports, right? As soon as you open reports, that's what you'll see before it goes to the other groups, right? All right. Any other questions about basic point of sale, XZ out? Did I miss anything? Okay, fetch to build a crunch report and select the date with a receipt count. In 14, yes, excellent question. So yeah, in crunch 14, so if I take, all right, we'll take one of these. I was just working on these the other day, right? So let's go take these and go like this. And I don't know what version, Paul, you have of the earlier version. I know you were on 11. I don't think if you got it at the 12, I'm not sure. But anyway, you click in here in the
I'm on
earlier
12.
versions. You're on 12. Then you got this,
Yeah,
right?
and I was just saying it would have been faster to write a crunch report than going through the X out report that you were doing inside PRISM.
Oh yeah, the X out. Well, I mean, but X out is basic part of point of sale functionality. I have to go over it as part of the
Right,
outline,
but
right?
yeah, I've
But
already created myself an X out report, and I can even show receipt counts, and then I can just select days or months, and it'll give me all the data that I need.
Excellent. But you know, you're smarter than the average person out there, I would say. So, you know, you might have a leg up on that part. But that's excellent. Always be interested to see anything like that you have and play around with it and see what you got going, because you guys are pretty sharp out there, I gotta say.
Yeah, I can always send you the SQL code that I got, and
Yeah,
you can play around with it and see if it's something that you like.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or you could, you know, fly me out there to Hawaii and I'll look it over there.
We can always do that too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I
I
don't know.
see Caroline's got a question. She's got her hand raised. So I'll
Perfect.
mute myself.
Go, Caroline, go.
Hey, were we supposed to go over gift certificates today, or am I wrong?
Well, I don't know if that was necessarily part of the thing, but we could go over gift certificates. Now, gift certificates in PRISM, unlike 9, I don't think there's central gift certificates, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
sort of they're out there and they're not tracked, if you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because they're kind of dying. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
they're not hard to turn on and
you
play
know,
with if you.
we do just the handwritten ones, and we have
Yeah,
numbers on them, which the thing can reference. But if I don't know if you can answer this quickly, or if I'm going to have to do it separately. But if we want to do, for instance, a donation for something, and we want to give them, you know, like, you know, 10 gift certificates,
yeah, it's easy.
and we're not taking money for it because it's a
No, it's
donation.
totally easy. Totally easy. Yeah,
Like, I like that answer. How do you do that?
yeah. Oh, so so first off, gift certificate falls into the category of what I would call funny money. So
Yeah,
store
okay.
credit, gift card, gift certificate, all that stuff. So what you need is you need 2 funny monies to balance each other, because in the world of accounting, you got to have it balanced. You got to have left side, right side, right? So if we go into our preferences and we go into transactions and we go down to fees, and in fee land, I say, okay, I'd like to edit number 3 here, and I'm going to call number 3 donation. Okay. Or GC donation, or whatever the heck you want to call it, right? I'm just going to go with donation. We're going to click the little thing here, and I'm going to go in and say new transaction. And I'm going to go to transaction details and say I'm going to give out, you know, I don't know, 4 $25 gift cards or gift certificates or whatever the heck I'm doing. By the way, you could rename gift card to gift certificate, right? And then you could have it say gift certificate and actually be tracked, and you'd be using technically gift cards, but the associates and everybody would see, and you could fill them out and key the numbers in your manual. You could still fill them out of manual paper, and you could put a number on there, stamp a number on there, write a number on
Well,
there,
that's what
whatever
I
you
was
want to do.
wondering. I want to be
Yeah,
able to track them.
yeah. Just
So
use a
they have
gift
to have a
card and
number.
rename it, right? So they
Okay.
have to have a number. So I'm going to say minus $100, negative $100. Why? Because I'm going to do a donation. Okay, we're going to go to tender now, right? We got a negative $100 balance of funny money, a negative fee amount. I'm going to go to central gift card and say that we're going to give back $25, right, on the first gift card number of, and I guess we have to go the other way. Cancel. We have to say give. Right. Okay. There we go. And it processes and loads that into the database, and it comes back and says you got 75. We repeat this again for the next one, right? So we would just go back and do it again 3 more times, right? And we have to have a number. Give.
I believe the multiple thing's been fixed on this, right? Where you can do multiples.
I'm not sure what the multiple thing is, but
Oh,
yeah.
well, it wouldn't let us do multiple gift certificate sales. Like after a certain, like maybe like about 4, then it said no can do. It wouldn't complete the transaction. So I'm hoping
I
it's
mean,
fixed
this
on
is a
this.
very fresh version, so I don't
Okay.
know, but if I do 10 here and I put in a gift card number, right, and say give, and we do it again. Let's see, we'll skip more than 4 and see what happens, right? So let's go back to gift cards here and say 10, and let's do yeah, I'm gonna stick with my plan here, my fat fingered plan, right? Give, Right, so there's 4, right? So let's go ahead and try another one and say another $10 for give. All right, and say another $10 and go to gift card and go to and give. Yeah, so we're now hitting 6, and it seems to still be. Oh, maybe I didn't edit that last one. No, I didn't edit the last one. I screwed that up. All right, fair enough. So it automatically updated and showed us the change we're giving, and you know, it can't help you with human errors, but obviously it can. It can issue more than 4 gift certificates, gift cards, right? And so you can see here, we said we took out $100, and that's how we gave it out, right?
Okay, that looks easy.
Yeah, and any field in here can be, we can change it in the translation. We can change any field in here, right? I can't really go into that right now. I don't know that I have the time. Yeah, I've got another call starting right now, but yeah. I mean, a 2.5 is looking really good. I like 2.5 a lot.
All right,
So,
thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you going over that real
oh,
quick. Thanks.
not a problem. No, I'm scheduled to be here till 3. So most times people bail and they don't have anything else to add. So it's nice when we can use the whole time for a change, right?
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too.
All
Bye.
All right,
See ya.
thank you. Take
See ya.
care.
Good talking to you.